Coming up next on Hands on Windows, we're going to take a look at Windows PowerToys, a set of utilities made by Microsoft and also by individuals in the community that makes Windows better.
Podcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is TWiT.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Hands on Windows. I'm Paul Thurrott. And this week, we're going to take a step outside of Windows in a way. We're going to look at a set of utilities that's very popular. You probably heard of them, called Windows PowerToys, or just PowerToys. We've had things like this for many years. Back in the Windows 9X days, we had those Plus packs, remember? In Windows 7 and I think beyond, we had something called Windows Essentials, a set of utilities that Microsoft advertised as sort of completing the Windows experience. But we've also had this notion of PowerToys, right? And in the beginning, I think the earliest PowerToys actually date back to the late 1990s, but I always think of the version they made for Windows XP, where it was just a set of utilities that didn't quite make the OS. And back then, Microsoft couldn't really update Windows very quickly. And so it was a way to kind of get these features out into the world in a way that if you wanted them, you could get them and you could enable each individually. Flash forward 25 years-ish. And we still have PowerToys. So we have PowerToys for Windows 11 today. It's available in the store. It's perpetually in beta. Some of these features are at various stages of, not completion, but, spit, shine, fit and finish, whatever. Some of the better ones have been rolled into Windows, which is actually really exciting. So in Windows 11, I think 23H2, Microsoft added that details view. In File Explorer, that started as a PowerToy. The text extractor capability that's in Snipping Tool today, for example, is still a PowerToy. And the PowerToy app is quite different from what it used to be. It is still a set of different apps, but it has this central app it's gotten kind of big. It's the one thing I really don't like about it. And so they created this quick access pane. So when PowerToys is running, you'll see the item for it here in the tray. There's also this little coffee cup icon. This is for a tool called PowerToys Awake, which runs by default. This is one I don't actually use. It's not running right. It is running, but it's not doing its thing right now. But I do use the PowerToys front end. You can customize this so it has your most commonly used apps. I haven't done that here. These are the defaults. But you can also just go into the full app. And so this is the app, right? It's this giant thing. And so this dashboard page is where you can individually toggle on or off each of the toys, right? Or the utilities, kind of a strange name. And you can go down a list. You can explore this for yourself. If we just I'll select one I'm not going to really talk about, command not found, for example. So it explains what's going on here. They always have a link here. This will open the Microsoft Learn website to a page that has information about the tool. So if you want to learn more, learn how it works, et cetera, that's how you can do that. The versioning here is kind of tough. But like I said, it's always in beta, but in recent months, they've added a major new feature to PowerToys, a major new tool called Workspaces. And Workspaces is sort of a power user version, I guess, of Snap Layouts in a way, right? So you have this workspace, you've got, meaning a screen or multiple screens, where you've arranged windows in a certain way. You have a specific set of apps running, and you want to save it as a thing that has a name that you can call up later and recover that set. It's actually a set of layouts, right? So it's sort of an Uber version, I guess, of Snap Layouts. So I'm not really going to demonstrate it per se. I don't have any tools that make sense to use this way, but you could sort of imagine, maybe you're a coder, you have the coding window, you've got this reference that you're looking at to help you with the coding, or maybe you're doing research where it's a website and a note-taking app or whatever. You can just save those things and reference them later. And so this is the type of thing I actually expect Microsoft to add to Windows. I think this is a good candidate for that. And I think it's the type of thing that is a little bit more mainstream than even the remote desktop feature we looked at recently, the desktops in Windows 11. I think this is the type of thing a lot of people would use. So this is kind of interesting. This is the new marquee feature, I guess, the big one. But there are several PowerToys apps that I do use pretty regularly. This isn't my system, or this isn't my account. So what we're seeing here is not my kind of customized setup. So I do different things with my own account. I've configured some of these specifically. But if you think back to the clipboard discussion we had in the multitasking episode, talked about how Windows obviously has the Control-C, Control-V, Control-X, all that stuff built in. There's a clipboard history you can enable. So you do Windows key plus whatever, Windows key plus V typically to bring up the, that window with the different things that are in the clipboard. But one thing I need all the time because of the type of writing I do, I often pull information from someplace and I want it pasted as text. So there's an advanced paste that's part of the PowerToys. So instead of Win key plus V, you get Win key plus Shift plus V. So I'll have to invent a reason to use this, but we'll go in and it integrates with the stuff that's built into Windows, right? So I'll just select this. So again, instead of Win key plus V brings up the clipboard history, but Windows key plus Shift plus V brings up this window, which is really interesting. And it has the one thing I want. This is what I want right here. Now, depending on the app, there are keyboard shortcuts for this. It's just hard to remember these things. Control Shift V often does this, but some apps don't support it. So this is kind of a neat way to get this in any app very quickly. So I don't really have anything that's rich text or whatever that would benefit from this right now, but this is a really cool tool for me. This is something I actually use all the time. So that's really useful. The other one I use all the time. So for this, I do I write a lot of news reports about Microsoft and other companies when they report their earnings. So for example, I know if I go to Microsoft.com/investor, you'll see their latest earnings report. They're doing okay, by the way. You don't have to worry about them financially. I think they're going to be okay. But I go through, say, their column slides, right? And they'll have financial information in here. So I'll find, and they actually provide this information here in this case, but there's some instances where they provide numbers and then they have the number from a year ago. And so what I want to do is bring up the calculator and I will have this thing running on top of it, like you can see here, and I'll have the numbers that I'm trying to compare. So if I want to know, what percent of the total revenues is this part of Microsoft, I can do that math in the calculator, and then I can go paste that into whatever story I'm writing. But the problem is this thing keeps getting lost. So I find myself Alt tab, trying to get back to the application window. So this thing supports a keyboard shortcut. Well, any app does actually. PowerToys has an app called Always on Top. So it's Control Windows key plus T. And you can see that it has this kind of selection windows, right? So now, even though I've selected this window, that thing still stays on the top, and you can move it. You can move it wherever you want, but it stays on the top. So if I launch another app, it's going to launch behind there. I close it, and if I bring it back, it's back to the way it was. It doesn't retain that mode or whatever, but it's a neat thing to toggle. It's something I actually use. And as we record this, it's that time of year, right? So or that time of quarter, I guess. We're getting a lot of financial results in, and some companies just don't do the math for you. So I have to do the math, and that's a tool I use for that. Another tool I use all the time, and I'll bring up a reasonable web page instead of that thing, is, let me go to their home site here. Color picker, right? I'm always trying to get color values, either in HTML or RGB formats or whatever it might be. And again, a lot of these are keyboard shortcuts. So this one, Shift Windows key C, color, right? And you can move it around and see what the different colors are. So if you wanted this exact color somewhere, because it's kind of a fun Call of Duty color, or Xbox color, click on it, and then you get the different values in the way you want them, and you can copy them to the clipboard and then go put them wherever it is, Adobe Photoshop, wherever you might be. You can go grab that stuff. So that's super useful to me as well. Image resizer, this is a good example of one that, unfortunately, because it's not customized, I'm not going to be able to show you the way that I actually use it. But if you right click, you will see a resize with image resizer choice. Some of my systems, for some reason, this doesn't actually appear. So in that case, I hold down the Shift key, right click, and you get the old menu, and you'll actually see it up here. So it's there. You'll be able to get to it, however. And then you get to choose between their presets. So what I've done is I actually got rid of most of these presets. I kept this one actually, but I go in and I customize one. So I create my own that's the specific size and aspect ratio that I need to use on my website. And so I can just right click, resize, choose my custom size. And then it creates a a copy of that file using, there's rules built in here where determine how those things are named, which you can configure on your own. Super useful. Use that one all the time. I mentioned, I don't know, it's an episode or two ago, I guess 2 episodes ago, that there's a bug in Windows 11 24H2 where the mouse cursor disappears, right? So you're in Notepad or Word or in a text box in a web browser, whatever it is, and you're writing and the mouse cursor is gone. And this has been a weird problem for me. And suddenly I find myself using this PowerToy all the time. It's called Mouse Utilities. It actually does 3 or 4 different things, but the one I use most is called Find My Mouse. So I got to sort of invent a way that like the mouse is, no, it's not really hidden. You can see it obviously, but you hit the control key twice and it does that, right? And you can configure what that looks like, right? It can be different colors. The animation could be a little different. You can have different timing, like it goes away on its own, like you saw there. So I find myself, I tap this all the time now. And actually this is kind of a fun thing to have for like a screen recording like this. You could, make sure that people can see the mouse cursor, just double click that thing and it zooms right in on it, right? So that's pretty cool. My favorite PowerToy, perhaps, I actually like all the ones I just showed you, I really like, but this one might be my favorite. If I'm jealous of anything on the Mac, aside from the hardware, which is awesome, it would probably be their kind of search feature for running apps and finding files too, but mostly for running apps, right? So in Windows, if I wanted to run Notepad, for example, and I don't have it pinned to anything, I could open search or start typing and that works, right? But on the Mac, I guess it's Command Space is the shortcut, and it brings up a bar in the middle of the screen and you just type from there. So from wherever you are, it doesn't hide anything. It doesn't get in the way. You basically get that sort of start search functionality. So by default actually I might have changed this. Did I change? Yeah, I did change it. So by default, it's Alt plus space, which is the equivalent of the Mac keyboard shortcut. I actually changed it on my own systems to be Windows key plus space, but because that makes more sense to me. But you basically get the same experience you see on the Mac, and I could do what I just did. It's no faster, right? But you can run Notepad this way, or any app, right? You can do that. But you can see here, they have these other things you can do from here as well, right? And there's a whole list of these things. So most of these are not particularly interesting to me per se, and I'm trying to think what I might have on here that would be useful. But if I type in my wife's name, what you'll see is that file I've been opening a few times lately, which is the photo of my wife and my daughter in Paris. And you can search for files as well. So it is basically a universal search. I use it mostly for application launch. I just like the UI. It's so clean. It's very reminiscent of the Mac, like I said, but with that kind of, Windows 11 look and feel. So definitely something to take a look at. The other thing is, and again, this is not something I've done because this is not my normal sign-in, but if you're going to use PowerToys, definitely modify this so it has those things that you use the most often. And then take the time to go into the dashboard and look through here, think about this stuff, see what it does. And if it's something you're not going to use, you can just toggle it off, right? So you don't have to worry about it. Because a lot of these things, you can see most of these things actually have keyboard shortcuts, and you don't want one of them to, just pop up if you have no idea what it's doing or whatever. So if you're not going to use it, definitely take the time, to turn it off here. It makes sense to do that. For example, I don't actually use Awake, and that will get rid of that tray icon, but just toggle off the ones you're not going to use. So it's worth exploring these tools. There's some really good stuff. I think every person's a little different. You'll see something, this is something I really need, whereas it might be something I would ignore and vice versa, but that's the point. So there's so much here. There's so much more we could talk about, but those are the ones I use. And the new one, Workspaces, which again, I wouldn't be surprised to see that pop up in a future version of Windows, but absolutely worth looking at and knowing about. So free. A lot of this stuff, like I said, from within Microsoft, some of it from without, from the community, but supported by Microsoft in perpetual beta. It's changing all the time. They're updating it all the time. And I'm sure we'll see new tools over the next year or so too. So good to know about. Hope you found this to be helpful. We'll have a new episode of Hands on Windows every Thursday. You can find out more at twit.tv/HOW. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you especially to our Club Twit members. We appreciate you so much. And I will see you again next week.